All right, so my name is Thomas, and I'm on the affirmative side that the current surveillance policies that the NSA and the government has towards us is ineffective and should be changed because they are too restrictive on the American people. My first point is that the privacy is more important to us than our safety is. Former NSA agent Edward Snowden said that, more simply, the majority cannot vote away the natural rights of the minority, but even if they could, help them think for a moment about what they're saying. Arguing that you don't care about the right to privacy because you have nothing to hide is no different than saying you don't care about free speech because you have nothing to say. So that is kind of the main argument behind privacy being more valuable than safety. The value argument here is that if the minority of people are being are potential terrorists, you can't punish the majority of people for just the minority group. So hold on. The current policies also they fail to keep us safe. In looking specifically at the government in the UK, the murder of Lee Rigby in 2013 by Michael Abedgola and Michael Adebole could possibly have been prevented. The government was actually aware of both men and their potential threat to national security prior to the Rigsby murder. This then suggests that even when the government's aware of a threat, they often can't or don't have the means of stopping it. So this case was, they were aware that the murderers were talking about potential harm and planning a murder on Facebook, and the government were actually aware of this information, but they didn't have the means of stopping them, even though they knew. The information didn't stop anything here. It was ineffective in keeping us safe. Our second claim is that the people are being mistreated and abused by this surveillance policy. People are being mistreated by, Cory Doctorow, an activist from The Guardian, said that when Mary let a train go by without boarding, the operator decided it was alarming behavior. The police arrested this man, searched him, asked him to explain every scrap of paper in his flat. A doodle consisting of random scribbles was characterized as a map of the tube station. Although he was never convicted of a crime, Mary is still on file as a potential terrorist 8 years later, and he can't get a visa to travel abroad. Mary was just someone on their watch list, but he was never a terrorist, or he never made any behaviors that had him be a terrorist. He was just on this list because of his alarming behavior of not boarding a train. Once a computer ascribes suspicion to somebody, everything else in that person's life becomes sinister and inexplicable. So, hold on a second. There isn't current evidence that the surveillance policy is effective, in that General Keith B. Alexander admitted that the number of terrorist plots foiled by the NSA's huge database of every phone call made in or to America was only one or perhaps two, far smaller than the 54 originally claimed by the administration. So even when they say that they have results, those results are faked and are exploited to even far bigger proportions there. That was from Sean Waterman, a writer in the Washington Times. Yeah, so we we call for the change that there should be further checks and balances in our system. The ones we currently have haven't They haven't stopped any They haven't stopped the federal government from surveillance. They haven't denied any the FISC courts haven't denied any attempts to monitor anybody. Any warrants that they've tried to receive, they were instantly granted without any denials in the history of that court. We call that the officials that oversee this court and oversee the government should be more accountable. There should be restrictions to ensure private info is private. This will call for officials to appoint other officials that are less corrupt, and the policies that they will in turn make will allow the American government or American people to be less restricted on this surveillance and invasion of our privacy. With that said, okay, cool. So yeah, that is our policy for change. That the current officials need to be monitored and they need to be accountable for the mishaps and misuse, and they need to be restricted on the amount of power they have towards the American policy plans. Thank you.